Go around the badger.
Hey everyone, it is the Angry Honey Badger here. It's time for another build. This time it's the Jax attack from the jungle. That's where I personally like to play him. He's obviously good in top lane. There's no denying that at all. I mean, he's great up there too. I like him from the jungle because he has great clear. He can dodge minions' attacks. He has great clear. I don't know. He's got great clear, in case you did not know. But he also is good at ganking too because of Counter-Strike and his other abilities, and he scales really well. And as long as Jax gets to farm, Jax will always be good. So in the jungle, you really don't get denied farm, so I think he's safer to take in the jungle for that reason, in case you do get counterpicked top, or you just happen to get ganked constantly top, and you can't get good CS and you fall a little bit behind. Then at least in the jungle, that doesn't really happen. So that's what we're looking at today. We're playing the Jax in the jungle. So what we need to do first, though, is talk about his runes and his masteries, which, of course, are on the screen now. Take a look at those. Hooray. That's all fun and dandy. And, yeah, that's cool. Write them down, open up League, and let's get rid of those now because we need to talk about his abilities. And we also need to talk about other things too, like the build itself. So, first thing we'll talk about briefly are his abilities, what they do, what they are, and what order you would like to max them out in after killing Lee Sin, who came back to get a kill and couldn't secure it. It's okay. It's okay. Alright, first things first. Jax's passive is Relentless Assault. Every time Jax attacks an enemy, he gains percentage attack speed for 2.5 seconds. The percentage is increased every 3 levels. This stacks up to 8 times and will stack his attack, dodge, or miss due to a blind blah, 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 blah. Basically, as you attack more consistently, your attack speed increases. It's super fun, it's super awesome, and it only gets better as the game goes on. That's going to team up well with our Ultimates passive in a little bit. We'll talk about that soon. First off, though, at level 1 in the jungle when you play Jax, you want to put a point into your Counter-Strike. We'll put a point into this at level 1. We'll max it out last. We just want to have it early because it's good. For the next 2 seconds, you're going to dodge all incoming basic attacks and reduce AoE damage by 25%. Okay, at the end of that duration, you're going to deal physical damage to anything around you and stun them for 1 second. Okay? Good. That's what we're doing it for. That's what we want. So it helps us dodge everything in the jungle, which allows you to have good clear because you don't ever really take too much damage because you can dodge most of the minions' attacks and then you just hit them in the face. At level 2, we put a point to Empower, which is his W. We max this out first as well. You're going to charge your weapon with energy, causing your next attack to deal bonus magic damage. Basically, it's just a standard attack steroid, which is good. It's up really often, and when you have this maxed out, it's up every 3 seconds without cooldown reduction. So you have lots of empowered attacks, as much as you want, and it's very good, and it's good damage, and it's hooray yay things. And then at rank 3, we put a point into Leap Strike. Leap Strike, as we know, this is what Jax uses to leap towards a target. If it's an enemy, he attacks it, dealing damage. Obviously, it scales from AP and bonus attack damage, and it deals physical damage. You can also use it to leap towards and to allies, in case you want to get away or over walls. So make sure you're using that in appropriate situations. We're going to max this out second. And then we have his ultimate at rank 6, 11, and 16. Obviously, what it does passively is hitting 3 consecutive times enhances Jax's next attack for a flat amount. It's quite a lot, though. It's bonus magic damage. Then, when you activate his ultimate, you're going to gain 30, 50, or 70 plus 50% of his bonus attack damage as armor, and then 30, 50, or 70 plus 20% of his bonus ability power as magic resist for 8 seconds. So basically, whatever your bonuses are on your attack damage and magic resist, you're going to get bonuses as you activate your Grandmaster's Might. So you get tankier, essentially, for a short duration of time, which is fantastic. 8 seconds. Short duration, 8 seconds. It's good. It makes you tanky, and it makes you hit things harder because of the passive on it. Basically, what you try to do with Jax, or what most people try to do with Jax, is he's got a pretty straightforward build path. What you want is 1 to 3 offensive items and then tank it. That's all you need. You don't need more than 3 offensive items. Granted, you could do full offense Jax and it would get disgusting, but you start to sacrifice too much vulnerability in the long run when it comes to late game team fights and the ability where ADCs could blow you up. So it's a little too greedy to do it that way. It's fun, don't get me wrong, I agree. Straight damage Jax is comically amazing, but you can throw and you can run into issues and all types of problems. And you don't want that. You got to be a little bit more careful. So typically, the way it goes is Jax, you build him 1 or 2 offensive items, maybe 3, depending. If you're like an actual really hardcore carry threat on your team, like there you just don't have damage. Like you just have tanky everything's everywhere else. But for the most part, that's what you do, and then you go tank. So what we do in this build from the jungle is we build Bloodrazer. Bloodrazer is really, really nice for a couple reasons. Bloodrazer is going to give us more attack speed and percentage health damage. Percentage health damage, as we know, on someone who has a lot of auto attacks, that's just a good thing because you're going to be getting more percentage off. The other reason why we like it is it gives him more attack speed, and this attack speed is going to then buff up his passive, helping him basically get more attack speed faster, which allows him to have more passive hits on his ultimate, with every third attack dealing that, chunk of bonus magic damage. And then also just teaming that up with the ability to hit people in the face with your W over and over. It's really good. So we get lots of damage off. You basically want to attack buff steroid Jax if you don't happen to know that. That's what makes him really, really good. Obviously, flat damage numbers to help increase all of his basic attacks are really good too. That's good on any champion. That's just kind of a no-duh. But attack steroiding his already strong passives and his activating W, those are really what you want to do with Jax, and that's what makes him really strong. One of the other reasons he just happens to get really strong is when you do get a little bit of that attack speed underneath Jax, which then scales up all of his other attack speed, and that makes him just, continuously good as the game goes on, is he doesn't have to build those necessary defensive or offensive items, He can just build like the 2, and then he's just going to naturally scale up in these fights. And that's when being tanky actually comes in to be more of a value. Because those long extended fights, even with people who have damage, you can typically outlive them because you have plenty of damage that ramps up and you have enough defense to tank team fights and then kill them too. So that's what makes Jax really annoying, is the fact that he has plenty of damage without really building much of it. And plenty of defense when he uses his ultimate. And the other form of his defense, besides just resisting things with defensive items, is the fact that he just kills everything. I know I maybe just said things over and over the same way, but that's just the basis and basic principle to Jax and how it works. That's just how it is. So that's what's up. So what we do, obviously, is we do Stalkers, like I said, with Bloodrazer right now. We get the attack speed, we get the percentage damage. The next item that we build will be the Trinity Force. Trinity Force on Jax is just, once again, like, it's like if an item was made for any champion in the game, like Trinity Force was made specifically for Jax. Even after its changes, in fact, it's better now with its changes for Jax. Now, when they changed it and took the Zeal out of it and put in the Stinger, Zeal, gave him attack speed, gave him crit chance. Crit chance is good on Jax. I'm not going to say it isn't. It'd be fine. But getting some cooldown reduction, even more attack speed, I'd take that any day on Jax. That's going to be even better. We're going to be able to swing our W. Well, actually, we'll be able to use all of our abilities more often. So that's better there with that cooldown reduction. And even more attack speed just mean we're going to have way more empowered attacks with our ultimate's passive. So really, really, really good on Jax, and that is what we built next. We want the Trinity Force. We're going to get the buff up from the Sheen in there. We're going to get the buff from the Phage, helping us with our movement speed while we're in these fights. We're going to get more increased attack speed. We're going to really start to snowball out of control. Essentially, once you finish your Trinity Force, even if you're behind by a decent amount, you're going to now come in and be a major player in the game because of how everything from Trinity Force doesn't just kind of help Jax, it outrageously helps Jax. So that's why we built that next. Now, typically, when we would be building Jax, we happen to be up against a fairly attack damage heavy enemy team. So Gangplank in the top lane, they have a Talon in the mid lane, they have a Lee Sin in the jungle, they have a Caitlyn ADC, and they have a Thresh, who granted isn't tons of physical damage, but isn't really much damage at all. So tons of attack damage. Because of that, we're going to go with Ninja Tabby boots this game. Typically, I would actually go Merc Treads. Merc Treads would be a fantastic choice most of the time because you're going to get that little bit of extra tenacity, which is going to help you move around in those fights when you're eventually tanking them somewhat late game. Because you can tank. Because Counter-Strike allows you to. You're dodging those abilities for those 2 seconds. Also, when you do position yourself well and you jump in with Leap Strike or Flash Leap Strike if you really need to get in deep fast, it's going to stun everybody, which is just great. So don't be afraid to commit to jumping in on a fight. Especially if somebody else on your team goes in, you'll be able to stun up multiple targets. I believe I'm going to do that here with our Ally coming in. I get 2 of them there. Thresh was just on the outside of it, but because of this, we're going to be able to actually, fight. And Lee Sin goes to fight because he's full damage, and he does decent damage, but not enough. I knew I would take it, because as as Elysian wants to fight a Jax with a standard attacking, I mean, Jax is going to win that fight every time. He's got empowered attacks coming through. It's going to be much more beneficial for the Jax. So that's the boots though talk. The Ninja Tabby, what we went this game, but Merc Tread's very, very good. If you wanted to go swiftness, you could. They've been nerfed a little bit too much for me to really say take them. But you could do that if you really wanted to have some good mobility. Or maybe even boots of mobility if you were really looking to do a split pushing thing in case you really want to have movement to get around the map and push up. That would be something you could try as well. Now, the next item you could be a little confused by, but probably not really, is the Blade of the Ruined King. It's going to give us some lifesteal, which I really, really want. Even more attack speed, which is just going to really ramp up all of his damage. Anyways, the attack speed's good. And then, the percentage damage and the activating part of it too, which is going to slow and sap damage from them. Or sap some life from them more so. So the Blade of the Ruined King is the next item that I like to build on Jax. It's just a pretty, once again, standard solid item for Jax to pick up. Some people may argue right now, and I'll go over it, that's fine, is the Ginsu's Rage Blade. Why did you not get that? Ginsu's is a great item. If you didn't want to go Blade of the Ruined King, then you could definitely go Ginsu's. But then that's the problem is, as much as if you wanted to go, like, if you really wanted to continue this as a damage build, then yes, I'd go Ginsu's next and probably Mob Malmortius. But this isn't that kind of build. Jax doesn't need any more damage. And if we want to, actually have, a good shot of winning the game, you need to build smart. So defensively, after this is the direction that we need to go. We have lifesteal, we have plenty of damage and attack speed between those three items, if we're counting the jungle item, the Trinity Force, and the Blade of the Ruined King. Those are all that we need, and that's working well. We have plenty of damage in these fights. Now we need some survivability. We're going to always have tons of damage. So, and our damage, even from here, even if we don't build any more damage, we're going to get more damage at rank 16 when we get the next point in our ultimate, because every third attack's damage is going to go up another, 60. So, it's you really don't need to build any more damage. You're going to have plenty of damage. You just need to not overcommit to damage as Jax. So after this point, we can build defensively. Now defensively, once again, is typically going to come down to what the enemy team is building or what their damage output is. And for this game, and almost for every other game, the first defensive item I would almost always want to get on Jax is actually a Guardian Angel. Now, like I said, this enemy team doesn't actually have a lot of magic damage, so the magic resist in it is, you could say, a little bit wasted, but not really. They still have little bits of magic damage. Now I'm just going to really be resisting them, and we're going to be getting even more armor. But the big thing about, obviously, the Guardian Angel is the ability to come back to life, and that's really what I want, is the ability to come back to life in this game. Because if Jax does dive in and the team isn't quite ready to commit with him, then you'll have the ability to come back to life. And typically, if people have fallen during that time, or if you can just really separate somebody out from the fight, with the little bit of lifesteal you have and the plenty of damages, you'll be able to probably kill them and get some life back and call things good. So that's why I like the Guardian Angel. The other thing I also really like to get when I am playing as Jax, either the Dead Man's Plate, or the other big one I really like is Omen, because as they shoot you and attack you, they're going to slow themselves, and that's a good thing. But that's the build for Jax. It's down below in the description. Like the video, and I'll see all of you guys in the next build video.